Welcome on into Bringing the Heat. And before we get the podcast started, we do want to shout out one of our sponsors here at frontstretch.com. And that, of course, is My Place Hotels. My Place Hotels is getting into the action at Indianapolis Speedway, and so can you. They're offering 2 free tickets to the Brickyard 400 at the end of this month and a 2-night stay at a My Place Hotel. Entering the contest is easy. Just call 1-855-200-5685. Sign up for My Place, free stay, rewarded loyalty programs, and say Front Stretch send you. Make My Place your place to stay for a free Brickyard 400 experience. That's 1-855-200-5685. 1-855-200-5685 to sign up for the rewards and say Front Stretch sent you. Now to Bring the Heat.
It's time for Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle.
Welcome on into Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle. My name is Trey Lyle, the aforementioned Trey Lyle. Later on, we will have a good old mate of mine, Danny Peters, who was at Sonoma this past weekend. We will be recapping all the action from there, as well as, unfortunately, some lawsuit news as we're heading into the courtroom there as well. But first, got to have 15 minutes this week with the legend Marty Smith from ESPN. He was at SEC Media Days all week, but he's heading to Dover this weekend for ESPN's SportsCenter 50 States in 50 Days, representing the state of Delaware, obviously, is Dover Motor Speedway. So he will be there on Sunday at Dover. He'll be riding in the pace car with Joey Logano at one point. So we talked about that. He obviously gave the command at Sonoma this past weekend for the Xfinity Series race. So we talked about that, his thoughts on the in-season challenge, the thought about the run that Ty Dillon is on, and much more. Marty Smith heads into the Inferno.
Now it's time for
What's up, Sonoma? I got 4 things to say to you. Raise hell, praise Dale, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engines!
To Go Into the Inferno with Trey.
Bringing Marty Smith into the Inferno. Marty spending some time this week while he's at SEC Media Days, but he's heading down to Dover this weekend for ESPN SportsCenter, 50 States in 50 Days. Marty, thanks so much for joining me for a little bit of time during your busy week. But I have to ask you about Saturday. So you're given the command at Sonoma for the Xfinity Series race, and I have to say you did a pretty good job with it. So was your plan going into it once you knew you got the opportunity? Did you pre-plan it, or was this just kind of off the cuff of what you wanted to say?
A little bit of both. Thank you for the time, first of all. But when I got asked to do it initially, I was apprehensive to do it. But as I thought through it more, I was like, I'm in a season of my life where I want to have to just enjoy unique experience. And what's more unique than that? I mean, especially just being a reporter. And so I thought about what I might want to say, and then, you get up there and you have a very specific kind of amount of time. You're on national television. And so I just was like, I know the most important thing that I need to do is swing out of my cleats like Matt Stairs. And I did it, brother. Let me tell you. I'm a little taken aback at the response. I don't know that I expected that, but people seem to love it, man. It's awesome.
I feel like, the easy layup is always raise hail, praise Dale with NASCAR fans, and you hit that to start, and I think you could have said anything else after, and you basically, hit all your P's and Q's necessarily to get the command going. Obviously, let's talk about what's going on currently in NASCAR before we talk about what you're going to do at Dover this weekend. 2 big storylines in NASCAR right now. First is the in-season challenge, something new to this season. Obviously, Ty Dillon is taking up all the headlines with this Cinderellas story. What have your thoughts been as when it was first introduced compared to now that we've seen it kind of play out over these last couple of weeks?
I mean, it doesn't move me. I think it's cool for who is it? It's Tyler Reddick. It's Ty. It's who are the other two?
John Hunter Nemechek, and then it is Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And $1 million is $1 million. And so they're certainly incentivized to win the thing. And it's been fun to watch Ty. The reason he's getting all the headlines is because this is giving him those headlines. That, I think, is probably the greatest piece of it for me in terms of my awareness of it and my care for it is I've always really liked him, and he's had a tough road in terms of being entrenched and really finding stability competitively. And so it's just awesome to see him kind of have this quote-unquote Cinderella run.
And then obviously the other headline recently is SVG winning 3 straight road course races, another dominant win at Sonoma. When you break records of Jeff Gordon, it doesn't matter who you are. That shows how pretty good you are. What are your thoughts on kind of this uniqueness of SVG? We've had road course ringers, but I don't think we've ever had in NASCAR a road course, if you want to call him a road course ringer, quite like this in terms of just his dominance in this one particular style of racing.
I think it's rare to see somebody that's that much better at something when the cars are this equal, and he is a lot better than everybody else. His ability to really, really manipulate braking and create advantages through braking, and part of those advantages being so much more speed through corners and keeping so much rubber on the racetrack. It's just incredible to watch. It's so incredible to watch. And there is nobody close. There are some really good road racers. Chase Elliott is a very good road course racer. And there are some other guys in the series who are too. But in this moment, I was going to make some comparisons to other sports, but it's probably unfair to Shane. I mean, it's like kind of Scotty Scheffler type of stuff where you go there and that's who you expect to win, and then they close. It's incredible to watch, man.
Looking at SVG, a guy who also came on the scene pretty good early. I think he tied for most rookie wins since Tony Stewart, and the guy you are doing the Never Settle podcast with started this year with Jimmy Johnson. How did that come together? And I know you have a personal relationship with Jimmy. How has that been in terms of this season working kind of closely with a guy who is viewed as one of, if not the greatest in a one sport?
He's one of my best friends and has been for 20 years. And sometimes it's hard to really quantify just how dominant he was in that era where he was winning 5 consecutive championships and ultimately won 7 in 10 years, 7 in 11 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And 11 seasons. And so what they did is historic, and it'll be fascinating to see if anyone ever sniffs it again. But I love him, and having the opportunity to dive into real life and find depth within that is so fun for me. And my wife wants us to be funnier. She's like, you guys have so many funny stories, you got to start being funnier. And we will. We're continuing to grow and learn within that property. The podcast space is damn hard. And not everybody's the Kelsey brothers where you can plug and play and have that kind of success. And so we are enjoying it so much, and I know that we're getting really good guests and opening those guests up. We just need awareness. And so as our awareness continues to grow and people start to consume the product and hopefully enjoy it, I know we have a special property. And I look forward to continuing to help grow it.
Yeah, obviously, Jimmy is also now kind of the face of Legacy Motor Club. They have Richard Petty as an ambassador. He has kind of taken even every year he's gotten into the ownership side of Legacy Motor Club. He's taken an even bigger role. What does that mean for how do you think Jimmy has attacked becoming an owner with Legacy Motor Club? And he's done things that probably weren't expected. The move to Toyota, looking at, private equity. Like there are certain moves that are risky of themselves, but he seems to be attacking it with kind of the same mindset he had as a driver.
Yeah, but he's maintained majority ownership. So, and he has said this to me on Never Settle, our podcast there, that he did not know if he could find a more competitive gear than he had driving a race car for a living. But he's learned in this ownership role that he's every bit as competitive and fulfilled, if not even a smidge more, as the owner. There's a unique drive that he's found in that role. And obviously when you're dumping money into something, by God, you care. I mean, he was the most important piece of the Hendrick Motorsports 48 car machine, but he wasn't paying for it. And now he's paying for it. And so that's a different thing. And so it's fun to watch him in this role and grow as a leader. I don't know if you know about, I'm a leadership nerd. I wrote a book about leadership a couple years ago called Sideline CEO, where I interviewed Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart and John Calipari and Roy Williams and Doc Rivers and on and on and on. These incredible Hall of Fame level coaches with 55 championships among them. And so I'm a leadership nerd. And to see him continue to grow into that CEO ownership person, to me, is very cool to watch. And it's very fulfilling for him.
At Marty Smith, ESPN, and you talk about Sideline CEO. It was a great book. I think that was the last time we were able to talk, was when you were doing the promo tour for that book. So it was a great, enjoyed it. I personally love the stuff about Frank Beamer, just being a tech grad that I am. But looking at being a part of ESPN SportsCenter, 50 States in 50 Days, this was something when I was a kid or I was younger, they did every summer, and it was like a really cool, fun summer thing. And now they're bringing it back for this year, and you're going to be part of 2 stops on this, and obviously this weekend in Dover. What is it like to be a part of something that really was part of the early days of ESPN, trying to establish SportsCenter, go to 50 states in 50 days, and show, I don't want to say it's similar to the wide world of sports, but show kind of the entire country and how sports are intertwined through the fabric of American culture?
I think it's really important. I was reminded of that at the NBA draft. They sent me to Newport, Maine, Cooper Flagg's hometown, for a week. And I met the people, and I met the heartbeat, and I met the root system that allowed Cooper Flagg to sprout into this wonderkin talent. And why he's so revered among all those NBA GMs, it's the small stuff. It's the fundamental stuff. Obviously, we see the physical gifts, but it's the selflessness and humility as a teammate. It's the unbelievable basketball acumen. It's the willingness to outwork other people. It's all of that fundamental stuff that they rave over. And I met all of these people that helped build that person in Newport, Maine. And the gratitude that I heard from everybody in Maine that I met, that we went there and we showed the country with great respect for that place and for that state, reminded me of the wonderful sensibilities and the damn importance of small town America, and us taking SportsCenter all over the place and into small town America to really champion that and highlight that, I think is very important. And I think it's wonderful that that ESPN has made that investment. I'm stoked to go to Dover. I haven't been to that racetrack in a very, very, very long time, but I look forward to getting in the pace car with Joey Logano and letting him just rip, scare the hell out of me. I look forward to all of our content that we're going to produce that day. I also look forward to going to Bristol Motor Speedway for Reds Braves. That's going to be obviously historic and landmark. And then I look forward to going to South Carolina as well. We're going to go to the Cornhole World Championships, and as someone who once held a world record, cornhole very dear to my heart.
Cornhole, the ultimate tailgating game, in my opinion. But
no question.
You mentioned it. Another NASCAR connection is yourself and your radio co-host Ryan McGee heading to the Speedway Classic at Bristol. That's got to be exciting that Bristol is putting on another sporting event. Obviously, you two have great ties. The last time that a non-NASCAR sporting event happened at Bristol Motor Speedway, which was obviously a game where Virginia Tech took on Tennessee, and obviously you and McGee, excuse me, have a lot of ties to both those schools. McGee being an alum and you a longtime fan of Virginia Tech. What is it like to have another big sporting event where one of the major leagues is coming to Bristol Motor Speedway, and it's definitely an iconic team in the Braves for NASCAR fans, but the Reds are another iconic team, a historic team. It seems to be kind of a perfect mix of baseball and NASCAR at Bristol.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. They've already done such a great job of preparing the playing surface and adjusting the racetrack in a way that befits Major League Baseball. And I just can't wait to see what it looks like. I can't vision it. I can't visualize it in my head. I also couldn't visualize what the football stadium would look like, and that was badass. And so I just can't wait to see what it looks like. And we're so full of gratitude to get to be there to show America that morning. I think it's the 2nd of August, if I recall. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's August 2nd, I think, is the exact date. Braves versus Reds at the Speedway Classic at Bristol Motor Speedway, and then they got to quickly turn around and do one of the best races of the year, the Bristol Night Race. Marty, I appreciate you spending some time this week with me at Marty Smith, ESPN. You have a great rest of your week at SEC Media Days, and enjoy your weekend at Dover.
Thank you so much. On the way to interview Kirby Smart right now. Y'all have a great one. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks so much to Marty for giving us 15 minutes of his time during a busy week for him with SEC Media Days going on. As he mentioned in the interview, he was about to interview head coach of Georgia, Kirby Smart. So glad he got to fit in there. Want to thank ESPN PR, Andy Hall in particular. And reminder, Marty is there for ESPN SportsCenter, 50 states in 50 days. Him and his co-host, Marty and McGee, will be in Bristol in a few weeks for the Speedway Classic between the Braves and the Reds on August 2nd as well. So make sure you tune in to the mothership, ESPN, for that. But now, let's get to what is still hot.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
Coming now into the program is a good mate of mine, Danny Peters, who was at Sonoma this past weekend riding solo, as Jason Derulo would say. He was riding, by himself, getting great content for us at frontstretch.com. Danny, you were there for SVG's performance on Sunday, capping with his third straight win on a road course, third win of the season. He has now entered himself into a unique conversation. Do you think he belongs in the conversation as the best road course racer in the history of NASCAR?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Trey. Good to see you, my friend. Nice to see you use the word mate. That's very good. Using your
I'm trying to be proper.
There.
I'm going to give you some proper English during this.
Just certainly a very, very dominant performance from SVG, really all weekend. And he led 97 laps of the 110 laps, so that eclipsed Jeff Gordon's record of 92 laps led at Sonoma a little while ago now on that one. But I think he's absolutely in the conversation. He is dominant on these road courses to a level that, we've not seen in a while / ever. On pit road afterwards, speaking to Chase Briscoe, he talked about being proud that he came second and referred to it as a little bit like playing Michael Jordan at basketball, racing against SVG on the road courses. And I mean, if not yet, it's only a question of time before he'll be considered the greatest road racer in NASCAR. I mean, maybe he needs a couple more wins, but that was total domination. I spoke to Christopher Bell afterwards. He referred to it. I spoke to Ryan Blaney. They all feel like SVG and that team have hit on something that the rest of them just don't have right now.
Absolutely. We talked about this last night we're recording this on Wednesday. This comes out on Thursday during happy hour, so you can check that out where I gave more of an in-depth opinion. But I think he's on that trajectory of becoming the greatest ever. I think it's unfair to say it right now because it's been 3 seasons, but of him, and first 2 were not even full time. They were 1 to 2 races a year. So I think, but he's well on his way. But we're gonna get to a guy who could challenge him depending on when he gets to the Cup Series in our soundbite of the week. But first, unfortunately, Danny, we have to go into the courtroom because half of this NASCAR season it feels like it's been in a courtroom. No shock here, I would say, is Legacy Motor Club is now also suing TJ Persher, who is essentially has entered into an agreement to purchase the entirety of Rick Ware Racing, including the charter that is being up in court between Legacy Motor Club and Rick Ware Racing. Now, I say this before. I said this last week when we had, Dalton and I had to talk about lawsuit stuff. I would preface this by saying Danny and I are not law experts. We have great articles each week on frontstretch.com that update us. I do want to ask you though, just how, and we'll get to the 2311 stuff in a second. Is that might be even worse? But do you think ultimately half the season or a lot of the headlines in the season being in the courtroom, is that going to be a bad thing for NASCAR when you have great storylines going on, on the track right now?
I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's sad that we have to talk about this, and as you know, we're not legal experts, but in the case of the Legacy Motor Club lawsuit, it's almost like sort of forgotten a bit about in context of the 2311 one, but it is, a second lawsuit, and these are topics that we have to discuss because they're in the news, on a regular basis. And, the hope would be that we can get to a place where we're not talking about lawsuits anymore, and we are just talking about the action on the track, because it's not great, I don't think, for NASCAR to have these conflicts in place. And certainly would be hope that both can be wrapped up, as soon as possible, really. And obviously there's a legal process that needs to play out and all that good stuff. But the sooner these cases can be wrapped up and completed, the better I think it is for everyone, the participants in the lawsuit, the fans, the teams, everyone.
Looking at the other lawsuit in 2311 FRM last week, Dalton and I talked about how they lost their appeal, their second part of their appeal, where they wouldn't get hurt again. But they now have refiled a preliminary injunction and a temporary restraining order to maintain their charter status. I'm assuming they use different language this time. Again, I'm going to preface this by saying Danny and I, not legal experts. Danny sounds a lot smarter than me. He is a lot smarter than me. I just want to preface that. But I will say this. How important would it be for 2311 and FRM to maintain their charter status just from a dollar and cents point of view, where there could be very much a ripple effect where we could be in a world where they win this lawsuit yet are still screwed because they don't have a charter and they lose the likes of a Tyler Reddick, for example, which could happen with 2311. This seems like kind of the biggest thing going on right now because it at least has arguably the most long-term impact in the sport that could cause multiple ripple effects in multiple different avenues, in multiple different scenarios. How important is this next step in just getting clarity on this season in terms of maintaining charter status for those two teams?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the 2311 and FR have been quite clear that they're going to continue to race even if they are open cars. But I guess the concern would be if their charters do get taken away from them, do those charters get given to someone else? And to your point, and then they win the lawsuit, how do they get those charters back? They probably can't. I don't know how that would play out, but that would seem to me to be the, a bigger picture concern. I think from a sort of more week to week concern, are we going to get into a playoff race, let's say, when, I don't know, Tyler Reddick blows a qualifying lap blows an engine on a qualifying lap, can't set a time, and there were more cars than on the entry list, and he doesn't get to race. Like that's, you know, I mean, it could happen in a regular season race as well. I'm using kind of the
Doomsday.
postseason as a sort of the doomsday scenario. Yeah, exactly. But you know, and then there's obviously the financial hit of running as a open car versus a chartered car. So yeah, I mean, I think my hope would be the case, I think, comes up fully in December. My hope would be that they can, you know, see out these season as chartered teams, and then, you know, everyone gets to have their day in court and a decision can be made from there. But yeah, it feels like every time you look at NASCAR news, it's not just, oh, this is happening on the racetrack, or this news is happening, or silly season news. There's a legal update as well. And, you know, I don't think any of us fans like reading this, and, you know, hope, I think, for a good resolution that makes sense, not just for the teams, but for the sport as a whole, you know, because this case obviously has large ramifications for potentially around the future of NASCAR. So I think the hope would be that, you know, we do get to a place where there can be a good resolution. And, you know, maybe this is really naive of me to say it, but it feels like, is there not a way to resolve this outside of court? Maybe it doesn't seem to be, but it's a shame that can't happen, you know, in both these cases, I guess. But I'm probably being too naive, and like you say, we're not legal experts, but it just seems a shame to see this all, you know, drag through the mud. And you know, when you start hearing terms like temporary TROs, you know, temporary restraining orders, it makes me think of like couples who are getting divorced and kids and stuff like that. It sort of shoots me off down a whole other path, you know.
The dad in you kicks in. You just the dad in you starts to kick in. Good old. Maybe you have to give Denny Hamlin a hug or something next time you see him. You know, just to say it's going to be okay. So it's going to be okay, Denny. Well, a place that always has it together, of course, is our good friends at My Place Hotels. They are getting into the action at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and so can you. They're offering 2 free tickets to the Brickyard 400 at the end of this month, and a 2-night stay at a My Place Hotel. Entering the contest is easy. Just call 1-855-200-5685 to sign up for My Place's free Stay Rewarded loyalty program and say Front Stretch sent you. Make My Place Hotels your place to stay for a free Brickyard 400 experience. That's 1-855-200-5685. Sign up for their rewards program and say Front Stretch sent you. Shout out to My Place Hotels. Plush beds, great stay, pet-friendly hotels. You can also get 10% off your next stay when you use promo code FRONTSTRETCH. Want to thank our sponsor, My Place Hotels. All right, Danny, you were there this weekend on the best race of the weekend, which was Saturday, between two guys going at it that are probably going to be future teammates. They were teammates this past weekend. Connor Zilich now becomes our focus for the soundbite of the week.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm going to bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
And short track racing.
It's time for the sound bites of the week.
That you used to win the race today?
Yeah, I learned about Shane as a driver and how he races, and I definitely used that to help me make moves today. Blocking his runs and what it may be. I learned what runs he takes when he's pushing and how he saves his tires. The first 5 to 7 laps of a run there, he kind of would set the pace, and then when I got out front, I set the pace, and tires made a bigger difference than you'd expect with how new the asphalt is. So we would run very easy for 5 to 7 laps, and that's probably why it looked like the kind of rest of the field was hanging with us. And then when we wanted to go, we would go and leave them. So we were kind of just playing a little bit of cat and mouse with each other. But that last run was very tough. We were both pushing to the limit, and it took a lot of focus to keep him behind me.
So there you have it with good old Connor Zilich, who won the Xfinity race after back-to-back weeks of dueling with SVG. They're now 1-1 in their duels in the Xfinity series. You were there watching that race live, and it was kind of amazing to see, because we've never really seen on a road course in NASCAR not just one guy, but two guys, just kind of dominate over the field. I guess it would have been Larson and SVG at Chicago in the Xfinity Series last year, but these two guys. So I just want to preface the question about this after hearing that soundbite. Is the only hope for the Cup Series in terms of, SVG not being the favorite at a road course in the Cup Series is when good old his teammate, probably his future teammate Connor Zilich, comes up maybe next season and is battling him each week at these road courses?
I mean, I certainly think we'll see Connor Zilich in a Cup car next year. I feel like that seems to be what's going to happen. But it was really interesting to watch them go back and forth. And what was clear, both from what Connor said in the press conference and what SVG, he talked about. Obviously, second sucks, but how much fun he had, and it's clear that the two have a really good friendship off the racetrack and a really nice respect on the racetrack. I mean, I do wonder, had that been the Cup race on Sunday, might SVG have made a more aggressive moves on those last few laps? He got close in 4 and in 7, I think, on that final lap in particular, and it looked as if he was going to get him. But so I do wonder if maybe there was an opportunity that in the Cup race on Sunday, SVG would have taken it. But it's clear that there's great respect between the two. And it's also clear how kind of mature and prepared Connor Zilich is. I think he's 18 years old. He had to have a sparkling apple juice in Victory Lane because for those that don't know, at Sonoma, they give a giant glass of red wine. And of course, he's not, not old enough to drink that glass of red wine, so he gets sticky apple juice instead. But he's definitely someone who can give SVG a run for his money on the road courses. But I also think we see this from time to time in NASCAR, don't we? We see a team or a driver have a period of dominance, and the rest of the field catches up. They've got access to the SMT data, all that kind of stuff, and I think you'll see the field start to pick up on what he's doing and find a way to kind of make it closer. But certainly for now, at the Cup Series level, SVG looks like, unless there's a mistake or a pit road error, it looks like he's going to win. And as you start thinking about the playoffs, you've got the Roval in the round of 12. I believe I'm getting that right. SVG could be in the round of 8. Then maybe we have a situation where he's got these bonus points and he has, good finishes, and maybe it isn't a playoff driver who wins in the round of 8. Could we see SVG make it all the way to the Final Four at Phoenix? It's not that crazy a thing right now, but
they're non-zero chance.
Non-zero chance. The other thing I'd say about Zilich is it's really interesting to hear him talking in that press conference, of course, that I was at, and noting that his sponsor Roto-Rooter announced a further partnership in the morning with Dale Jr. In that media center at Sonoma. But just to hear how comfortable and confident he is, and how well he speaks, how composed he is, both on track and off track. And you look at a guy like him and you think, you see a future champion in him, like he looks like he has the stuff in him, both, on the racetrack and then, off the racetrack as well, the way he speaks. He's an incredibly impressive young man. And, I don't know about you, Trey, but I'm a little older than you, I know, but like, how are you at 18? Could you have done that?
I was stupid. I was stupid.
I was stupid as well. I absolutely agree with that. And there was no social media around when I was 18 for me to be stupid with, thankfully. But yeah, I mean,
Twitter like barely existed when I was 18, or I barely I think I just started Twitter when I was like 16 years old. So you talk about that. I hate, one thing I hate is Facebook memories, because you can go back and see your old Facebook post when I was that age, and you're like, why did I say that? And so, yeah, you're absolutely right about Connor Zilich. I will say this. I mentioned this during happy hours. Shout out to NASCAR cast, who tweeted with the final stage of this race that the person in Victory Lane is currently holding a red wine bottle in one hand and a juice box in the other. I thought that was my favorite tweet from Saturday, because it was so true. Yeah, luckily for SVG, he did get a taste of that red wine on Sunday by getting the win at Sonoma.
Well, actually, I'm going to correct you on that. He didn't actually drink the wine. He let his crew chief drink the wine, because they actually asked him about that in the press conference. He said, yeah, let his crew chief finish the wine. But, sort of one last thought on Zilich, I talked a little bit before about his composure, but like the pressure that there must be on you now. I know SVG is his friend and they have a good relationship, and they were talking about how they were, going back and forth in caution, thumbs up, flipping each other off, just having fun with it. But that's a serious amount of pressure to have a driver as good as SVG is on the road courses behind you for those final laps, like right on you. And if you make a mistake, he's taking advantage of it. So a really impressive effort, I think, from him. And, I think it augurs well for his future, assuming it is in Cup next season, as it does seem to be. I mean, I don't think we're breaking any news there, but it does seem to be that will be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only scenario is if the aforementioned lawsuit happens and Tyler Reddick is 2311 doesn't have a charter. Tyler Reddick's a free agent, and Justin Marks swoops in and gets Tyler Reddick to join his fold at Trackhouse. I feel like that is the only scenario, which I guess back to the SVG thing, it's a non-zero chance. I just don't see it happening here. All right, Danny, we got to wrap this up. With our final segment, the checkered flag. It is waving, so let's get to it.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Thoughts, anything you want to rant, rave, or review about Mr. Danny Peters, the floor is yours.
So I guess a couple of things I've got. One, I would say, Sonoma is my home track. I've been going there for years and covering it, and just a really good crowd this weekend, and a good sort of, range of people from young to old. And one of the things I always feel at Sonoma is just how much people enjoy being there. It is a beautiful part of the world, and people who come to that track are real fans. I'm starting to see the same fans year on year. So shout out to the guys that come to Sonoma Raceway and the show that they put on there. But I actually, if you don't mind, Trey, I want to dip back to Friday night and just with the final thought. We saw a absolutely amazing finish to the ARCA race, the ARCA West.
Very
race.
Rare.
William Zilich, who looked like he had the field covered on that final restart, with a lap to go, got knocked out of it in turn 2. He was back to 4th, quickly made it back to 3rd. But he got past, he was Christian Eckers and Alan Day. Alan Day, who I spoke to afterwards, said he came like a missile in turn 11. But it was a 3 wide finish at the line at Sonoma. I mean, it was absolutely thrilling, because once you saw Zilich getting kind of moved out the way in 2, you were like, oh, that's it. His dominant race, it's all over. He's not winning it. But to see him come back and win like that was really impressive, was fun to watch. And I don't know that there's been a finish like that at Sonoma for a while, if indeed ever. But I mean, it was three wide at the line, and a great finish to the ARCA race on Friday night, the ARCA West race on Friday night.
Yeah, that was something. I was out Friday night, but got to go back and watch the final stages, and I was very interested by that in terms of that finish. So mine is actually I guess over in the homeland of good old Danny Peters, about Formula One, who appear to be taking Apple's $150 million annual offer over ESPN's $80 to $85 million deal. Obviously, Apple was a big part of producing the F1 movie, which I still need to see. I heard good things about. And I just want to say, if you're F1, you do need to take a bigger money deal. But if you go to Apple, where they only have the MLS, that has not been great, it could be scary. It's a very big risk by Formula One just to go full into streaming on the American side of things. Now, streaming is the way to go, and maybe Apple decides to make it a free service. I don't think they will. I think they'll make it a part of their Apple TV, where you have to pay, I think it's like $5 a month, kind of like the rest. Now, we'll see. I think MLS is the only sports league that is truly all streaming, at least in America. And I am nervous, if you're Formula One, to not at least have your Monaco, every America race and every, even Canada and Mexico, at least on cable television in the United States. That's where I would be very nervous, because I just feel like Apple, amongst, like, it's not like Amazon or Netflix or even Max to some degree, where it feels like a lot more people, a lot more households have it. Whereas Apple TV, I guess Severance is big enough where maybe a lot of people have it. But just be I'd be very cautious about going over to Apple if you're F1, but they do need to take the most money, and it appears that Apple is the one that wants it. So very, very nerve-wracking stuff. Something I'm never nervous about is the insight and wisdom I get from Danny Peters at Danny Peters on X. Check him out. Great week of content, my friend. Anything you want to plug before we get on out of here?
No, I was just going to say, go see the movie. It's amazing. I saw it the first night it came out, and just if you don't mind, I want to finish out with a shout out to our sponsor.
Go
One
ahead.
of our sponsors, my place hotels. I've got to stay there when I covered the IndyCar race at Thermal, and then when I covered the NASCAR race in Nashville, and just a really great experience. Great room, comfortable beds, just a really good experience with one of our big sponsors. So definitely check it out. Make sure if you're listening to this, you go back and you enter that contest to win the tickets for the Brickyard, right? Tickets and hotel stay. Yeah.
So like you said, that's a good alley, and I'll open for you. 2 free tickets to the Brickyard 400 at the end of this month, plus a 2-night stay at a My Place hotel, which the guys stayed at for the Indianapolis 500. Dalton and Brian and Massey and Alex Gitz all gave high reviews of. Entering the contest is easy. Just call 1-855-200-5685. That's 1-855-200-5685. And sign up for My Place's free Stay Rewarded loyalty program, and say Front Stretch sent you. It's also on all our socials. We have a post about that. So check out at Front Stretch wherever you get your socials. It's on there as well. That will do it for this week. Next week, I'm on vacation, so I will not be here. I believe Caleb Barnes will be filling in for me. As he listens to this, that might be news to him, but Caleb will be filling in for me. And we're signing off for now. For Danny Peters, I'm Trey Lyle. Thanks so much to all the folks at ESPN, ESPN PR, and Marty Smith for giving us some time for him to go to the Inferno. Signing off for now, and make sure you check out the next episode of the Front Stretch Podcast Network, Through the Gears. Wyatt Watson with all your picks for this weekend. Check that out right here on the Front Stretch Podcast Network. For Danny Peters, I'm Trey Lyle. Signing off for now. Adios, everybody.
I'm Caleb Barnes with FrontStretch.com. Come back soon for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.